Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson from ZeldaDungeon.net, and you're watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Wii U and Switch. This video covers getting strategic warp points here in the bottom left corner of the map, which is Gerudo Desert, and in particular gaining access to Gerudo Town so that we have access to all of the shops and the side quests and stuff that are there, and also some of the main storyline stuff for getting the Divine Beast here in this bottom corner of the map. So that's what this whole video is going to be about, is just getting the warp locations and gaining access to Gerudo Town. And now before you start that though, I would recommend that you go ahead and unlock the Wasteland Tower and Gerudo Towers, which are also near this area, and I covered that quite thoroughly in the previous video. So if you want to refer to the video right before this in the playlist, that will show you how to do that. So anyways, we're starting off here in the top right corner of Gerudo Desert, where there is a stable here. Now, funnily enough, you can't actually use any horses in the desert, so I'm not sure why there's a stable here. I guess it's for people leaving the desert, because then you can use horses as your, you're using sand seals on the sand, you arrive at the stables, and then you can use a horse. I guess, from a lore perspective, is the reason why it's here. It is just kind of funny, because you can't, here's a stable, we can't actually take horses into the desert at all. So something I've mentioned throughout the walkthrough is the fact that you can change the element of Chew Jelly to anything you want. So you can hit it with an elemental weapon, or use environmental effects such as throwing a bunch of Chew Jelly in snow or a really hot area like Death Mountain, and it will change the element of the Chew Jelly. So that's something you can do very easily to just swap the element to anything you want. So that being said, the element you initially receive, whatever kind of Chew Jelly you initially are getting, is completely irrelevant. So you can just get any Chew Jelly of any color, and it doesn't matter because you can change it to any other color that you want. So if you need any kind of Chew Jelly, just know that you can farm for it in any location of the game. What we're looking for is places that are easy, or there's a high density and stuff. So I think this area actually is probably one of the best, not necessarily best. I don't think it's a good farming location in general. However, the total amount of Chew Jelly you can get here is pretty insane. It's really easy. There's a lot of them, or really easy to see anyway. So you can see a ton of them on this hillside, and they reappear every blood moon. So if you want, you can just warp to the Wasteland Tower and go just a little bit southwest, and here on this cliffside there's a whole bunch of Chew Jelly. I don't really like this spot so much because I think it's a little bit too dangerous, and also the fact that because they're all on hillsides and stuff, a lot of the Chew Jelly can actually just roll down the hill too far, and I just think it's kind of annoying. Quick note about what's happening on screen is I did use a Blizzard Rod on this Black Moblin, and it changed the element of some of the yellow Chew Jelly that was nearby, so that's an example of what I was just talking about a little bit ago. But yeah, anyways, this area is, I wouldn't say it's the best place to farm Chew Jelly, but there's a lot of it here. I just think it's a little bit too risky, and it's kind of awkward and stuff. In my personal experience, you don't ever need very large quantities of Chew Jelly. You just need some of it here and there, and if you're just kind of steadily collecting it when it's convenient, which is what I'm doing in this video, that just because I'm passing through, then in my experience you end up with enough Chew Jelly for everything you need for the entire game, so it's not really that big a deal. So I suppose one comment about that is you could make a whole bunch of red Chew Jelly in particular, because that would allow you to light things on fire pretty easily. So if you didn't want to keep a fire weapon on you all the time because you'd rather just light things on fire with those, that is a potential option, because you can make a whole ton of it really easily, very quickly, and then you'd have all the stuff you need to light things on fire for most of the game. I guess to further explain what I mean by that is, if you have, a ton of Chew Jelly already, then instead of keeping a whole bunch of wood on you that you farmed and keeping a fire weapon on you all the time, instead you can just use some of the red Chew Jelly that you made earlier in the game, and then you just have tons of it, and you can just light stuff on fire directly with that, rather than tossing down wood and then lighting it with fire, just to, do an awkward way of lighting leaves on fire, you know what I mean? It's just easier overall, so you can save steps. Anyway, Kano's Shrine is what's happening right now. So in the first room, you want to move one of the electric spheres onto one of the platforms. This will cause the door to open. Now, the next sphere in the next room is off to the right. You need to work your way past the Guardian Scout 1, and then grab that orb. In order to grab this one, you need to shoot it down with an arrow to cut the rope. I think that's the only way to do it. You might be able to throw a sharp weapon like a sword or something at the rope too, and that might work. I'm actually not sure about that. But anyways, you want to bring the sphere over to the platform over the far left. Once they're both activated, this will cause the conveyor belt to move the block over so that we can access the chest over here that contains a small key. Anyway, work your way back towards the door, and you can jump across the conveyor belt to make it a little easier, or just dash across it, or you can hop down and climb up the ladder to make it a little easier, whatever you want to do. Then open the door that was locked using that small key, continue onwards, and kill the Guardian Scout 1. It should be really easy for you at this point. We have tons of weapons that are really strong at this point, so shouldn't cause a problem. If you continue onwards towards the next room, you'll find that there are two pools. The one on the left has the electric stuff continuing onwards because it is being passed along due to the metal objects that are in the water. So you want to position the blocks that are in the right pool to do the same, so that the electric field will then move over to activate this other switch, which will then open the door. Now, by the way, you can also use other metal objects, so if you want to, you could even just drop like a sword in your inventory too, and you can pass electricity along that way, and that would also work the same way. Now, speaking of things that you can magnesis in this room, though, there is also a chest that is above the doorway that we just came through. I believe that this one is always a Gerudo Scimitar. It's one of the few in... a lot of the ones in Shrines will scale with the game, so as you complete more Divine Beasts, they upgrade to a higher tier weapon. I think this one is always a Gerudo Scimitar. I could be mistaken about that, but I think it is, which would make sense considering this is like... or it's thematic anyways. This is the entrance to Gerudo Desert, so the fact that we can get a Gerudo Scimitar here is kind of fun. But anyways, once you have grabbed that optionally if you like, you can continue on towards the Old Bro. So once you exit the shrine, you'll find yourself back at the Gerudo Canyon Stables. Now, there is a few characters you can speak with here to get some side quests if you want. By the way, as you're leaving the shrine, there is some mushrooms on the nearby, like, stone pillar things. I'd recommend you actually grab those as long as we're, like, sailing down anyway. There's no reason not to. You can get, like, 2 or 3 of them, at least. Anyways, when you fall down, you can speak with the various characters here to get some side quests if you want to. In particular, the one I find interesting is just the fact that you can speak with this chick right here, Kalissa, and she says that you have to use sand seals in the desert because horses don't work here. And that's a good little tip. You can't bring your horse, which is really sad. Instead, you're going to have to use sand seals. But unfortunately, these sand seals are only available at basically every other location other than the stable, which seems kind of backwards. So all these, like, super far out of the way locations in the desert have sand seals so you can get back, which is convenient and nice. However, I do find it a little bit strange that the stable itself does not have it. I think they were trying to give you that experience of just running through the desert at first. I don't know, I don't quite understand. Anyways, once we finally get to Gerudo Town, we'll have a teleport point here, and we can use sand seals from there to quickly navigate throughout the rest of the desert. Alright, so Gerudo Desert is funky regarding temperature. So you have, right now I'm standing in the shadows, for example, but as soon as I get out in the sunlight, then my temperature will drastically increase. Now, you can change this by wearing, your temperature specifically, by wearing elemental weapons. So I'm going to put on the Blizzard Rod right now, which will lower my total temperature so that I can survive out here in the desert better. How it works is during the day, it's really hot, so I need to either lower my temperature or I need to have heat resistance armor. And then meanwhile at night it gets really cold and I need either warm weapons to raise my temperature or I need chill resistant armor. Now, a quick fact about that, just so you know, the Gerudo Desert is the only place in the game where you actually need heat resistance, and that's only during the day. So, in general, just so you know, as far as trying to decide what kind of armor you want to get, I feel like heat resistance is one of the most worthless armor sets in general in this game. I will be getting it and showing how to upgrade it and all that stuff, but I do think it's overall kind of worthless because you can just change the time of day whenever you want. You just use a fire weapon, throw down a chunk of wood, you change it to night, and like, yeah, there's some style enemies out here, but not really very many. In fact, I think there's almost less style enemies in the desert than anywhere else in the game. So it being night is not really that much of a problem. The only place that super matters where you need a lot of heat resistance basically is just like Von Naboris, which we're seeing right now, the cinematic showcasing the Divine Beast as soon as we arrive near the bazaar. And this boss, you kind of need some level 2 heat resistance if you're there during the day. But again, you can't change the time of day inside the dungeon, but you can just warp out of the dungeon, change the time of day, and warp back in, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, it's just kind of like, I think it's kind of silly because meanwhile, chill resistant stuff, you need it for Meadow, you need it for Hebra and Mount Lanayru and Gerudo Highlands and also Great Plateau if you really want to count that part, I guess. So you need chill resistance for like, say, 1/6 or 1/8 of the game. And meanwhile, you need heat resistance for like, say, I don't know, 1/15 of the game or less, and that's only during the day, and you can circumvent it easily, so I don't know. Heat resistance is kind of pointless in this game. But anyways, that's just an explanation of how that works. So, also, just so you know, the desert, there are parts where it only needs rank 1 heat or chill resistance, or just some temperature change due to weapons. And then there's also some other places deeper in the desert where you need rank 2, so you're going to need a little bit more. So just with like 1 armor piece and 1 weapon, you have all you need. So I would highly recommend, in general, when you're exploring the desert, just bring some fire and ice weapons. And again, if you're following along with me, you should have tons of farming locations for elemental weapons at this point. Alright, a few quick notes about what's happening on screen. So I'm just passed through Karakara Bazaar in the recordings, and something I didn't know is that just like as you're going along the road, leaving Karakara Bazaar and going through it, then just to the right, there's like this little sand dune right there, and you climb up there, and there is some sand seals in Karakara Bazaar, and I didn't realize that. This whole time I've been running through Karakara Bazaar or walking around it or something, and I didn't realize there were sand seals there until much later, and I feel silly now. So, now that I know that, I would recommend actually that you grab one of those real quick to make the rest of the journey to Gerudo Town a lot faster, and that'd be pretty sweet. Another quick note too, actually real quick I should explain that. How to get a sand seal is use bombs to stun them from a distance and then run up and grab them before the stun wears off, or you can sneak up behind them and then press A to grab onto them once you're like behind them and you just carefully sneak up on them. Stealth outfit makes that a lot easier, by the way, but that would be a way you can grab them as well. Sand seals are pretty easy to use. They are like, just try not to bonk them into things, I guess, would be the big advice for that. Now, as far as another thing in Kara Bazaar, as long as we're passing through, though, is in the pool there in the middle, there is a metal chest that is in the water that you can magnesis out, and it contains a silver rupee, which is worth 100. Although a lot of the optional chests in this game in general, I don't think are worth our time. You know, like 20 rupees, 50 rupees, like, boo, we can just go farm some really easily, and it's like, whatever. But sometimes when there are bigger chunks like that, like 100 rupees or 300 rupees, if they're bigger chunks and they're really convenient and they're along our path anyways, then I like to recommend them. So anyways, I did not grab that chest at this exact time, but I should have. And so that'd be my recommendation, is when you're passing through Kara Bazaar, grab that metal chest and then also grab a sand seal and continue on this way. Otherwise, too, as far as other notables, you should grab some Volt Fruit along the way, just because they're convenient. However, there is some better places we can farm for Volt Fruit later, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Don't be like, oh, I have to get the Volt Fruit right now on my way to Gerudo Town, because it's kind of garbage amounts compared to what we're going to be getting later. So once you arrive at Gerudo Town, you should totally unlock the shrine first so that we have a teleport point here, and I'm going to actually do the shrine right now. What I did for the recording phase is I actually did it later, so I did some other stuff in around Gerudo Desert, and then I came back into the shrine later, so I'm just throwing the recordings in right now, just kind of splicing it all together. But anyways, here's this shrine, the Daqo Chisay? I don't know, whatever. You get the idea. So this is a pretty sweet shrine. What you need to do is move around all these metal objects to connect all of the electricity. Just be warned, though, too, that if you touch them, then they can hurt you, and that's a problem as well. Now, just so you know, though, you can complete some of these puzzles with metal weapons as well. So if you have some you're willing to sacrifice, you can also use those to complete these circuits, too. So what we're trying to do is open the various doors. Now, probably the easiest way to do this is just start at the end instead, which is like the light bulbs in front of the doors. And what you want to do is work your way from the left side of the room to the right. So we're working from the far left door and just start at that light bulb and then work your way backwards, connecting all the circuits with the metal objects that we have available to us. Now, once you have opened the first door, this will give us another one of those metal barrels, and this will give us another object we can use. Now, just so you know, if it comes down to it, you can also use metal weapons in your inventory to complete the circuits as well, or you can just use electric weapons and just bypass all of these puzzles entirely. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in a little bit. So once you open the second door, you'll find a metal chest containing a thunder blade. Now, in my case, I'm actually just replacing the thunder blade I already have, because this one probably has lost some of its durability over time. So as a result, I'm just replacing it just for that, just to freshen it up a little bit, you know, just make it a little bit nicer. But then you can go ahead and use the metal chest itself as one of your objects to conduct all of these circuits as well. Is conduct even the right word in this situation? I guess complete the circuits would be a better phrase. It just, I don't know, conduct is sort of weird because it implies, like, orchestrating stuff. Oh, that's what we're doing. I don't know, we're moving stuff around. Works. You metal, stand there. So next you want to open the far right door instead. So I know it's like you're working your way outwards, working in, I guess, is what we're doing. So in order to do so, though, you're going to need to use the big block in between the two slots on the far right side, and this will allow them to connect. Now again, as you're moving things around, just be sure not to accidentally touch any of these metal objects as they are electrified, otherwise you will shock yourself. So once you've finally gained access to the second block, all you need to do is move it on either side of the exit, and this will allow to complete the circuit. So just grab this block, put it here, and then grab the second block and do the same on the opposite side, and this will then open the doors, which leads to the old bro. Pretty straightforward. Now, as a quick tip, too, for this dungeon, if you really wanted to, another fun thing you can do is you can kind of cheat a little bit, because electric weapons, you can actually do this little glitch where you use a spin attack. I think this works best with one-handers. I'm actually not 100% sure how well it works with other weapons, but with one-hander for sure I know this works. You can perform a spin attack and then open up your inventory and then unequip it while you're in the midst of the spin attack animation, and it will drop your sword, which still makes an electric field. In this way, you can use this to bypass the early puzzles anyways entirely, so you can grab the objects right away. It's kind of a fun little trick. There's no particular reason to it. It doesn't really save that much time, but it is just funny that you can even do that. So next, right next to the shrine, outside of Gerudo Town here, during the day anyways, I'm actually not sure if he's here at night, but during the day at least, there's a dude here named Benja when you arrive here the first time. Now if you speak with him, you will then get the main quest, which is Forbidden City Entry. And what this will do is it will allow you to enter Gerudo Town from here on out, and so all you have to do is just speak with this bro to get this quest. Anyway, Benja explains that the Gerudo Town is only made up of women, and they only allow women inside, so men are not allowed here at all. However, Benja has recently heard a rumor about a man who managed to get inside. So, he also hears that bro is hanging out in Kara Bazaar. So, we want to swing on over there so we can find this mysterious guy and hopefully figure out how to enter the city. You can optionally speak with the guards at the gates if you like. They will not permit you to enter if you try. They'll just kick you out. And they explain some of the Gerudo words. So, avo means a man, and vai means means a woman, and then meanwhile Savak means hello, basically, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure exactly what that one means. I'm assuming it's just hello. But anyways, so that's just some info for you, and they'll kick you out and tell you to go away. So our next objective is to head to Karakara Bazaar, which is in the middle. Now, in order to do so, I highly recommend you take a sand seal. There's always a sand seal at Karakara Bazaar, as well as Gerudo Town, and it's a very easy thing to do. You can either throw a bomb at them and blow it up near them to stun them temporarily so that you can get on top of them, or you can go ahead and just sneak up on them very carefully. Ideally, if you're going to do that, then just wear the stealth outfit because it makes it a little bit quieter, so you can sneak up on them easier. Now, just so you know, when you're riding a sand seal, it does use the durability on your shield, and it does use it very slowly, so it's not really that big a deal. But just use a shield that has high durability that you don't particularly care for. I like Knight's shields for stuff like this because they're not absolute garbage, but they're pretty easy to get. A free Knight's shield, by the way, that you can get all the time is right near Ridgeland Tower on one of the mushrooms just to the west. You can hop down and grab those. I like it for things like this because it just doesn't matter. Like, if it breaks, I don't care. And they're freebies and stuff, so I don't worry about it too much. Just use shields you don't care about. Alright, so once you arrive in Karakara Bazaar, what you want to do is climb on top of the building that's to the south. I always climb up the side, but apparently there is a ladder on the lower level too. But anyways, you want to climb it either using the wall or climbing the ladders, and then get on top of this, mushroom tree thing that's on top of this house. I don't know why these stone... how did they even get it like this? Did they, carve it out until it got like this? It's just so strange. Is it a natural occurring thing? Although I suppose there's more stone mushrooms in Ridgeland. At least they look like stone to me anyways. So once you get on top of this, you'll find this bro here who is Villia. Now, he's only... I don't know if he's out here only during the day either, or if he's here both during the day or night. Regardless, at a certain point, you want to speak with him, and you'll get to the point where you can choose either if he's beautiful or accuse him of being a man. Now, if you do accuse him of being a man, then he'll just end the conversation, and that's it. But if instead you say he's beautiful, the conversation will continue, and then he will give you the option of purchasing a Gerudo set from him for 600 rupees. Now, if you don't have enough rupees, you can go to various rupee farming locations, such as, the Pondo's Lodge, and do the snowball bowling minigame, whatever. That's pretty good. We'll have better access to more rupee farming locations here pretty soon. We're just not quite there yet. But anyways, otherwise, you can sell some gems. I would actually kind of shy away from that option because I want to hang on to them to upgrade my armor for all of those. But food you can sell, for example, or at least most of your food you can. I would say the ones that are the safest to sell that don't have any requirements for armor upgrades is going to be anything energizing, enduring, chilly, and mighty. So all those ones are not required for any upgrades. So those are all safe. So if you have any ingredients in those categories that you're not planning on using, fry them up and sell them, and that would be really good. An example of a piece that I'm not going to be using is the armored carps. For example, they're not used for anything. I have access to tier 3 ingredients, the armored porgies, so I don't need the armored carps because they're just tier 2. And then meanwhile, I have a bunch of Armoranth, for example. So I can mix and match. If I use 2 armored porgies and then 3 Armoranth, whatever, then I just have, or whatever. You know what I mean? I use the lower tier ones to supplement ingredients just to reduce the cost of me crafting it in the first place, so that I'm not using as many armored porgies. But anyways, point being, if you have an abundance of some of those mid-tier ingredients or something or whatever, then you can just fry them up and sell them because the amount of rupee value you get out of them is pretty high. But yeah, going back to talking about Valia, that guy just seems too shady to me, or too suspicious, especially considering the fact you can see the beard out of the side of the veil, whatever, all the time. Is just, I don't know, if he's trying to be sneaky, I think he should at least shave, just doesn't seem very sneaky to me at all, but I realize it's for comic relief and everything. I also just find it strange that, I don't know, he's, at least Link has the whole clean face, not able to even grow a beard in the first place thing going for him. So at least he can kind of pull that off. And he's kind of little of a build, whatever, versus that guy's a little bit more muscular. I just think it's kind of strange that he's even able to get away with it. But then again, I suppose maybe the Gerudos aren't used to being around other females of other races, I guess, as much or something. I don't know. One of the things I always think about when I'm looking at Gerudos is I'm just staring at their abs. It's all I can think. I'm man, this chick's got a 12-pack. She could crush me on her abs if she really wanted to. Alright, so again, the main thing we're doing for this video is we're just trying to get some warp locations for Gerudo Desert, just to get places where we can warp around, we can get some good farming locations, where we have access to all the side quests and stuff like that, and we can do all the things. I'm just trying to unlock stuff right now. I'm not actually really trying to complete a lot of the quests here. I'm just trying to give you access to everything. So that being said, one of the key locations I'd recommend you get is the Great Fairy Fountain, which is in the far bottom left corner of the map. The very, very, very far bottom left corner, there's a giant skeleton there. I recommend you place a pin there. And all you have to do is just aim your sand seal directly at that pin. Because what will happen is, from your mini-map, it's kind of confusing exactly where you're going, but you just want to aim at that pin, and as a result, what will happen is, even after we lose visibility here in a little bit, you'll still be going directly towards the shrine. Now, at a certain point, when you get deeper in the desert, you're going to need more heat resistance or chill resistance, depending on if it's day or night. Now, you can supplement this with buffs from food, or elixirs. You can wear your weapons to either make yourself hotter or colder, and you can also wear just regular armor as well. So in my case, I'm actually wearing the Island Lobster shirt, which is something I got that is DLC only that I got earlier in the game near Lake Tower. So that is something that you could wear, for example, but just whatever combination you need to give yourself the correct amount. You can only get up to level 2 heat or chill resistance, by the way. But once you get enough heat or chill resistance to survive, whether it's day or night, then and a combination of that and weapons, then you can survive in the lower portions of the desert. Now, as I was saying before, you're going to get to this point where your visibility is broken, you can't use your mini-map, it's just awful, and so this is why you want to face towards the pin initially, or use your map, whatever you want to do, and then just keep using your sand seal. Now, just so you know, Vonneborus is walking around here, so it is possible for you to get stepped on. Unlikely to swerve around it, try to avoid it because it will zap you with electricity if you get too close, because we can't counter that for now. Once you finally make it to the Great Skeleton, you want to go ahead and activate the shrine as soon as possible so that we have a vorp point here. Alright, Hawa Koth Shrine. This one is pretty straightforward. There is a couple blocks that you can use to activate these switches. Again, though, you can just go ahead and toss down an electric weapon. As long as you spin attack and drop it at the right time, then it should be close enough that it will activate it as well. One of the things I think is kind of funny about this shrine is after you activate this first switch, or the first light bulb, whatever you want to call it, you can then, the door will stay open. So you can take these metal blocks with you, which is kind of fun. I just think it's humorous because you can just break the game a little bit. In fact, there's a puzzle up ahead that you can use blocks to solve, which is, I think, not what they intend at all, but I think it's humorous that you can even do that. I just think stuff like that is kind of fun. Taking stuff and like completing the shrines in weird ways makes me laugh. Anyway, go ahead and open the nearby metal chest that was under the water. This will get you an ancient core. Then you can unwind the metal ball from the pillar and then place it using magnesis on the nearby light bulb, which will then activate the elevator. This elevator will constantly just go up and down, so you do need to, like, if you do it while you're standing on it anyways, it will just continually move, so you're gonna have to wait until it comes back down again if you fall down or whatever. So next you want to kill the Guardian Scouts up ahead. There's a variety of different ways you can do this. You can like shoot them with arrows and stuff. You can, just run up and just stun them with whatever. I mean, these guys are weak anyways. You can kill them with whatever. I was feeling pleased with myself because I brought this block with me, which I'm not supposed to have, so I was using it as a shield and also just smacking them with it by using magnesis, which is great. However, I think looking at this puzzle a little bit more thoroughly, I think the enemy placement and stuff makes it pretty obvious that what you're supposed to do is actually bring the electrified sphere back there. If you bring it close to the light bulbs, what'll happen is it flips various platforms. So I think what they're trying to get you to do is actually to flip the platforms to make the, you just use the electrified sphere on the light bulb that is close to each Guardian Scout, and what'll happen is the platform rotate or like tilts, and it dumps them into the water and they die instantly. Because I think what they're intending you to do here. I find that a little bit sad because then it means you have to drop down to below to get all the goodies that they drop. I'd rather just have it up here, but yeah, I think that's what they're intending you to do, is at least have that option, which is kind of fun though. So I wish I had noticed that when I recorded this last time. Anyways, what you want to do is grab the electrified sphere and then hold it up to avoid these platforms flipping on you, and then that way you can bring the orb over to the other side. Now, before you get too far, there is a light bulb that is on the right wall. What you want to do is place the orb there, and this will make a bridge extend temporarily while it's there, and this will allow you to move over into this hidden alcove off to the right. This will lead to a chest containing a gold rupee, which is worth 300, which is awesome. So next you want to go back, you want to grab the orb and take it with you to the far side, where there is another platform. You can set it on and activate the light bulb that is on the left. What this will do is it will open up a door off to the right, and inside there is a puzzle that can be kind of tricky. This might take you a few minutes to figure out, but I'll show you the easiest solution that I have that has the fewest steps. First, stand on the switch to tilt the entire platform forward. This will cause all of the blocks to slide forward, and then you can magnesis the metal blocks that are on the track and then move it over to the far right. What we want to do with it is we want to get it in front of the far right blocks and then go ahead and step off the switch. This will cause them all to fall forward. And at this point, then what you want to do is use stasis on the bottom middle block and then step on the switch again. This will cause all of them to tilt forward again, except for the middle row, because that one is currently stasis. Now you want to move the metal block so that it's blocking the far two right ones, so that this way, when they fall back down, they will make a straight line with the light bulbs so that it will conduct the electricity. So that's the main solution for this, and I think that's what they're intending. However, if you want to have some fun, you can also just grab that one of those metal blocks from earlier and bring it over here. It is a little bit tricky because it breaks it a little bit. The easiest way I found to do this is push the center ones along and then make it fall back down on purpose, and you can steadily inch it forward. It is a little bit tricky because sometimes the momentum screws up. But anyways, if you can land it properly, you can get it to where it will prevent the metal blocks from moving forward, and this works pretty good too. It's kind of a weird way of doing it, but anyways, when you finally do successfully complete the circuit, this will open up the nearby doorway. You can grab the gear and get out of the way. Just underneath it, by the way, there is a chest containing a sapphire. So I'd recommend you throw down the gear, grab the sapphire real quick, then pick up the gear once again, and bring it back to the main room where you can put it into the, I don't even know what you call this, the gear sequence, I guess. I don't know how you use that phrase. Complete the sequence, and this will then open the door up ahead. And this only works, by the way, if the electric orb is in the slot on the left. So go forward, you want to talk to the old bro, get the spear thingy, we're good to go. So as I was explaining before, Gerudo Desert has a bunch of temperature changes from day to night. It's not as extreme near this skeleton, though, near the Great Fairy Fountain. It's only Tier 1, even though the rest of the desert near here requires Tier 2 of one or the other. I just swapped out my weapon real quick for a flame weapon to give me some heat instead. But yeah, this area has 4 Endura carrots. It's the only Great Fairy Fountain in the entire game that has 4 of them. Also, the fact that it has a warp point right here means you can get these, enduring ingredients really, really fast, which makes it one of the best enduring, warp points farming locations in the entire game. You come back here every blood moon, get the enduring carrots in particular would be one of my highest recommendations. Super good warp point. But yeah, now that we have all these strategic places we can warp to in Gerudo Desert, we're good to go for the next section. So that's actually the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and found it helpful, be sure to throw a like on it and subscribe for more awesome content just like this. As always, you guys stay awesome, you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.